Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pain into Peace. Story time. When I realized I was going to be a teen mom, so I was really starting to get really into church and stuff. I'm at the age of 16 at this time, and so I'm into church and stuff. And my half brother, he has a very good friend who's a minister, and so I'm really starting to, feel it. So, I had an appointment to get birth control. Yeah. And so my brother's friend, who was a minister, took me to my gynecologist appointment, to get my birth control. Because I went to my mom and I told my mom that I wanted to start having sex, but she didn't know that I started having sex already. So I go to the doctor, and so she gives me the cup so I could, do what you do to, give her that sample. And so I went in there, and she came back, and she said, hey, pretty much you don't need these birth control no more. And I'm like, why not? What's the options of them? She's like, you are, with child. And I said, no, I'm not. No, And she said, yeah, you are. So I had started to cry, bawling. I'm bawling in the doctor's office. Maybe about an hour I'm crying. And so I was like, there's no way. I know this is not happening. But so I go out, and he said, so she said, we're here for you. If you need anything, just call us back. We'll do, to lead you to get you a gynecologist and stuff, and an OB doctor, OB-GYN. And I said, okay. I just could not believe it. It was no way. I am not with child. And so my half brother friend, his friend, who was the minister of the church I was going to, he was like, once you get, done, we'll go get some ice cream. I'm still a kid. I'm still young. I don't know nothing about a kid, nothing. So I go, and we go to DQ and get some ice cream. Then I come back, and I run to my room to call my best friend at the time. And I tell her, and my little sister is being nosy, and like she always was. And I was like, just get out my room. And so she was like, what's the big deal or whatever? So I was like, whatever. So, I go and I said, you know what, I got to tell my mom. So she said, when are you going to get, when is they're going to call you for your BCs, which is birth control? And I said, they're going to call. I told an untrue story, but immediately I was like, I have to talk to you. I could not really tell lies like that. I was like, I have to talk to you. And she was like, okay, what's wrong? And I said, and I started crying, and I was all fidgety and stuff. And she said, what's wrong? And I said, they're not going to call me for that appointment, for that prescription. And she said, why not? And I said, because they said that, and I knelt down by her chair, and I said, they said that I'm, with child. And she said, oh, what? And I said, I'm sorry that I started to not tell you the truth. So she said, okay, she didn't ask what I wanted to do or what is my plans or anything. She pretty much like, you know, this is what this is and we got to deal with it. But I immediately told her like, and I have to be honest, I told her, I don't want a kid. I don't want a kid. And she said, you have to, because we don't believe in doing the other thing. And I was like, I don't know how to change diapers. I don't know how to make bottles. Like, I'm literally as a kid. I'm a kid. And she just pretty much told me like, we will deal with it and we'll get through it. At this time, like, we're pretty much struggling, you know, with our living situation and stuff. Even though my mom, she owned the house, that's the only good thing. And there's nobody could put us out or anything. And so we was really, really struggling. So I'm starting to get big and stuff. And I have this cousin and she comes down the street and asks me, am I scared, you know, to have, you know, this kid? And I tell her like, no, because there's nothing I could do. If I am scared, like, what can I do? I really can't do anything. So I'm going to give you guys a part 2 of, you know, when I went into labor and all that, because what they did to me, I wouldn't even wish it on my worst enemy. I'm so serious. Okay, thank you guys for listening. This is my testimony. This is part 1. Talk to you later. Bye.